What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Castorice calculations and what our numbers actually look like in a few different scenarios, a few different team setups, and we're also going to be talking about HP versus Quantum Orb. All of that we're going to get into in today's video. So if you like this type of content, let me know by liking the video, leaving the comment section below, and consider subscribing to the channel. Also, check me out on twitch.tv/iSUMMON. We are live almost every single day over there. So if you are on Twitch, please help me out and go over at twitch.tv/iSUMMON. We are pushing for partner coming up pretty soon here. I think I've talked long enough. Let's get right into the calculations, y'all. All right, in the sheet, we have the regular setup for Castorice. Well, this is not a regular setup for Castorice. I chose this setup in particular because it serves as a really good base on what her damage is actually going to look like. We have her on the E0 S1. Her signature light cone obviously is pretty strong on her. It gives her 30% HP, 30% defense ignore. It's a little bit conditional, but it's okay. It'll always be active once you get it active the first time. We're also running Tribi with Zans on this particular setup. So all we're getting from Tribi is the 24% rest pen and the 30% vulnerability. Also, we are running the RMC, which gives us 10% crit rate, around 60% crit damage, and the 34% true damage value. And then our healer of choice is going to be Gallagher, which obviously gives us vulnerability on break, but we're not going to really focus on the break stat. We're not going to be calculating too much break damage, even though it does affect final calculations. This is more of a ballpark calculation video. All right, moving up over here to the top, we have the 4-piece. We're running a crit rate body, HP boot. This is going to be the rope with HP rope, and this is going to be the HP orb. Now we are going to run the same scenario. We can just change it to Quantum Orb right here and it'll update the numbers, but we're going to go through that a little bit later. Moving on further to the right, we have the Bone Collector set that gives us 12% HP, 28% crit damage. The new Quantum set gives us 10% quantum damage and minus 8% HP, which that also grants us 32% crit rate. This crit 40% crit damage and this 25% max HP, these are all going to be from substats just to round out the build a little bit better. All right, to explain what the sheet, the end result of the sheet is, right here you see a bunch of numbers, a bunch of stuff. I don't want you to pay attention to any of that. We're going to pay attention to this last column right here because this is going to be the total amount of damage, or the total amalgamation of all the damage dealt between single target, blast, and AoE, depending on how many units or how many enemies we are facing. So we were facing 3 enemies. We just set it to 3. We set it to 3 and it gives us a 3 enemy total. For the purposes of this video, we are going to calculate all of it, or we're going to discuss all of it running a blast scenario because I think it's a happy medium between single target and AoE, and Castorice kind of can do both a little bit. So we're going to calculate it using the blast scenario. However, we can just easily switch it out to the single target and easily switch it out to a 5 target. It's not going to be exactly the numbers that is going to be actually in game, but it's going to be very, very close and is highly accurate. Now we're going to move back down here. So we already explained everything, all the damage bonuses that they're getting from the team. Now these damage bonuses down here is what Castorice gets in battle from her own kit. She gets 20% rest pen from her ultimate. She gets 60% from one of her talent, and 30% from one of her traces. The 40% speed, we're not going to really delve into speed tuning as of this moment, but it also is a factor in here. So right now, we only have here the 3 breaths that the dragon does plus the explosion. So you're going to do, it's actually 4 breaths. So let's do breath 3 over here because the breath 3 plus the explosion is essentially your max damage output with Castorice in one move, right? So you're going to do 3 breaths, 1 explosion, and that is going to yield you in a 3 target scenario about 900,000 damage if you're hitting 3 enemies with all the same resistances and everything like that. Now we can pretty much experiment here with what we want. So let's say the regular skill is going to hit you for about 50k single target and then blast damage 60k both. So in total it's going to be about 110k damage. If we move to the joint skill, which is the skill when the dragon is out, we are going to get 50k single target damage, 50k blast, 50k AoE. So in a 3 target scenario, which we are set up right here, is going to be 150k. But if we move it to a 5, an AoE scenario is going to be 250k because it's 50k per enemy. We're going to set it back to 3. There's not really much else to her damage. She has all these explosions and all that stuff. We have the Eidolon stuff as well. We're going to discuss that in a later video. But for right now, we're just going to focus on base kit E0 S1. And that's pretty much it. So, all right, the way we're going to calculate Castorice's damage is by essentially recreating her damage window with 1 use of the ultimate. Remember that whenever she ultimates, she has 3 uses of the dragon, and then add the 3rd use of the dragon, or whichever use of the dragon, you can explode the dragon to make it go away. But we're going to assume that you are going to be able to use the dragon to its max possible potential, and that's what we did over here. So generally, when you have Castorice out of her ultimate, you're going to scale, and that will activate your ultimate. It will give you enough charge or nether bug or whatever it's called to you for you to launch the ultimate. So that's what we did right here. Then the dragon action advances by 100%, so you're able to use the first breath. Now if you notice breath 1, 2, and 3, this 1, 2, and 3 mean that the multiplier is the first multiplier, second multiplier, third multiplier. Generally, when you use the dragon the first time, you have a lower multiplier on the first breath. The second breath has a bigger multiplier. Then after your third use of the breath, you're always going to be at the max multiplier for that use of the ultimate. So generally, your first instance of the dragon is going to be weaker than the rest. So we're going to do the breath 3 times, and then we're going to do the side swipe attack. That's going to prevent the dragon from blowing up. Now, in between the attack and the E-joint skill and the second breath, what you're going to do with your teammates is action advance Castorice to charge up more ultimate, to charge up more dragon breath, and then also heal with your healer, or in this case Gallagher, for you to get more HP of the dragon for you to blow up in the breath. So next Castorice turn comes up, you're going to enhance skill, and then you're going to bring up the dragon again. The dragon's going to start off with breath 3, breath 3, breath 3, another side swipe, and then you're going to repeat that again. And then finally, the dragon's going to come back up. You're going to do breath 3, breath 3, breath 3, breath 4, because that'll drain the dragon's HP all the way to 1% or 0. And then after that, he's going to explode. So this is essentially what Castorice's and the dragon's damage window looks like per one use of the ultimate, and I think it's a good representation to try to calculate how to maximize her damage at E0 at 0. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move up over here into the total damage. So per use of the dragon, if we are in a 3-person scenario, you can expect around 2 million damage, which again, this is not 100% accurate. This is highly accurate, but not 100%. It's never going to be 100%. There's too many moving factors in game, so just don't expect 100%. But at least here you can kind of see where the numbers are going and how they're forming and shaping up, okay? In a 3-target scenario, you can expect this rotation to yield you about 2 million overall damage in this free-to-play scenario, which in my opinion is pretty strong. Single target is going to be around 722k, and then 5-target or AoE scenario, which is where she excels at, is going to be around 3 million damage. Now, we can leave this back at 3 because, it's, like I said, it's a happy medium. And we can go back here and see how much of a difference we can expect from the change from HP orb to a quantum damage orb. So right now we're at 2.126, and if we change this to a quantum orb, we are at 2.089. So I think in this particular team setup, the HP orb is probably going to be better. And don't worry, I will have a breakdown of all of these changes in a later video, but for right now I just want you to visualize the changes that we get when we do these type of things. So let's move it over here so you guys can see what I'm actually doing. Okay, now if we move this over to a crit damage body, our damage can go a little bit higher up, but remember that you are going to need higher crit rate investment down here, because right now our crit rate goes down to 65. So that means you're going to need about, I don't know, 30 more or 20 more. Let's say we can add 20% crit damage here, or yeah, crit rate. We can add a little bit, 20% crit rate, and your damage is going to go up pretty significantly. So if you can get a crit damage body, and then you can get the crit rate to be as close as at 100% as possible. So actually we need 30 here, because it's already counting RMC. So if you can get to as close as 100% as possible with the crit damage body, this is going to be a pretty strong setup with the crit damage body. Right here with the crit damage body, HP. But however, for most people, it's going to be a little tough to get there, even with the Poet set, because the Poet set is a very good set to build crit. It's a very beginner friendly set. So if we go back to the regular crit rate set and the HP, which is going to be my recommendation if you haven't farmed yet, your damage expected for a 3-target scenario is about 2.1 million. Now, what if we decide to swap over Tribby, for example, for Sunday? So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now by swapping in Sunday here, we can just expect to, every time that we have an E-joint skill, we can expect to add another E-joint skill, right? So we can actually expect repeat actions on this, right? So we're going to do a twice repeat action, because we can guarantee ourselves another action via Sunday. So we can, every time that we see an E-joint skill, we can actually add a 2 there. The skill can actually be, actually, no, this, not this. So yeah, every time we see an E-joint skill, we can just add a 2 in there. And then that's pretty much what it's going to be. Also, we haven't taken into consideration RMC's buff. So I can just expect it to be an extra 1 every one time. So I'm just going to give it an extra 1, right? So this is kind of like a misrepresentation of our last one. But we can actually go back in here and then get a action advance here. So let's just do a 2 here. And this should buff off our damage a little bit more. But going back to the Sunday RMC setup, you are going to get more actions for your Castorice, which means that the overall damage is going to go up when it comes to Castorice herself. Also, because you get more actions via the double action advance, you're going to charge up the dragon a lot faster. So this is a more likely scenario, unless we have a cracked out healer. I don't think this is going to be a very likely scenario. I think you're going to have to like attack in breath 2 so you don't blow up the dragon in most scenarios. But again, this is a hypothetical scenario in this sense. So right now we're going to go back up here and see what our damage is looking like at 3 total. Our damage kind of jumps up to about 3.295, and it's because we are getting more actions with Sunday. Remember, Sunday gives you a 20% crit rate. Actually, we can actually swap this over to a crit damage body because we do have crit rate here in excess, right? So we don't have to do a lot of crit rate. We can swap this over to a crit damage body, and our stats are looking at 85% crit rate, 326% crit damage. Yeah, so let's just add the 15 there, so it's 100. So now we're at 100% crit rate, 326 crit damage. We are getting crit damage from here, crit damage from there. We got 80% crit damage from here. All right, the reason I'm not going to put anything here in the past and future damage bonus is because it'll apply to the dragon as well, and we don't want that. We're going to want to keep those separate. So just know that this damage right here on the E-joint skill, it's missing a little bit of damage, and this damage right here is also missing a little bit of damage. So as you can see, Sunday is a significant damage increase onto 5 target damage. You got about 5 million in total in the rotation, so that's pretty strong. If we replace RMC for Tribby in this particular scenario, let's go ahead and see what that looks like. All right, so here we have replaced Tribby. We bring back the 24% rest pen. We bring back the 30% vulnerability. Here we have to reduce the action count by 1 because we are still getting the 2 action advances from Sunday, but we are not getting the extra 1 from RMC. So let's reduce that by 1, and then let's see what our damage looks like now. It's 3 million damage right here. So RMC is actually, if we go back to the RMC table, the RMC is actually a lot stronger. It's because that true damage actually like adds up a lot. So even though Tribby is a very, very good character, and also we're not getting the full picture of how much Tribby is contributing, because it's very hard to understand how valuable Dance 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 is and how much personal damage Tribby is adding on here. So in a future video where we do full team calculations, we can actually calculate how much damage Tribby is contributing personally, and then juxtapose that to a team that doesn't have Tribby and see what the overall team performance is when you factor in Dance 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 and Tribby's personal damage herself, because we're not actually counting the additional damage from Tribby either. If you had Tribby's additional damage here, it's going to be a lot more than it's going to be a lot more. Like, so this is not an accurate representation of Tribby, because again, this sheet is not meant to show you a full simulation. This is more meant to show you the raw damage numbers of a particular unit when you apply all these buffs that are here. Also, here we are missing set bonuses for Sunday, set bonuses for Tribby. We're missing we're missing the Sacerdos from Gallagher. We're missing the Sacerdo, or the possible Sacerdos from Sunday here. So we're missing a bunch of stuff. However, I just want you to know that the damage that Castorice is doing in a 1 rotation or 1 use of the ultimate is very, very high. It doesn't matter how you run it. So we did over here, we did Tribby RMC. Here we did Sunday RMC, which is probably her best because you get double action advances. And then over here you have Sunday and Tribby, which is a more premium team, and in my opinion this team will probably end up performing better because again, you get the Dance Dance Dance. So not only it affects Sunday, it affects Castorice, it affects Gallagher, it affects the entire team. You get additional damage. So this team in particular, like as a team, it will probably work better than any of the other ones with RMC. But RMC for Castorice is actually very, very strong, guys. So yeah, if you haven't built your RMC and you're planning to pull for Castorice, please do yourself a favor and just do it. Don't worry, guys. There are going to be more calculation videos. We're going to do a light cone calculation video. We're going to do a teammates calculation video more in depth than this later on in the future when we get the final Castorice kit. So, but as of right now, she's looking very, very, very strong. Even with more like a free-to-play setup, because this is technically a 3 cost. If you count Castorice in her S1 and tributes, technically a 3 cost. So it's relatively cheap for the damage you're getting, right? So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Did these numbers surprise you? Did these numbers like take you off guard? What are your thoughts on Castorice as of right now? Put it on the comment section below. And until next time, guys. See ya.